I'm April Pettyjohn, and this is Follow the Leader Homeschool Education. Hey everybody, welcome back to episode 26, where I am chatting with my friend Jami again. So if you missed episode 25, don't go any further. Just pause, go back, listen to episode 25. You're going to want to hear all that she has to say because it's going to be a great setup for today. So we're going to jump in, maybe just give us a brief what we're talking about today to give our listeners a little setup. We're going to kind of talk about just children's brains and how they're wired. So let's hit it.
Okay, so one of the roots in the last episode, we talked about the apple tree. We really want to focus on the root system instead of the fruit, which is just all of the behaviors and emotions that you see. One of the roots is the brain. Mm-hmm. And I have found that teaching kiddos about their brain is a game changer because when we're thinking through these big behaviors and big emotions, we kind of talked a little bit about it in the last episode. Sometimes that child who is struggling starts to feel like, well, I'm just a bad kid, right? Yes. Whether that has been said directly or indirectly, that's just the message that they're getting, right? I'm always the problem. Yes. So when you teach a kid about their brain, and I teach the 3 brain states and also like the whole family because it's anybody with a brain. So it's the littles and the bigs. At any given time, we are in one of the 3 brain states. Okay. I love to use animals to talk about it because it's really sticky for kids. I also do a lot of teacher trainings and I teach the teachers this as well because it just makes sense. So let's just go ahead and dive in. Okay. So the first brain state is wise owl brain, and that's the prefrontal cortex. So if everybody just like put your hand on your forehead, like right here, that's your prefrontal cortex.
So that's the one that they talk about is not fully developed till you're like 25, right? Is that the
28?
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. The latest research, and now they're not giving, which I totally get. They're not giving like an exact age, but they're like, hey, actually, since screens, we now know that the brain is actually about 2 years behind. Wow. So when you're looking, this can be great context for parents because when you're looking at a 7-year-old, actually developmentally, you're probably looking around at 5 brain development. Yeah. So that can give us a lot of empathy for our kids of like when you look at them and you're like, what are you thinking? Truly, that part of the brain it's under development. Yep. Now, I also love to give resources. So when I'm talking about this, Dan Siegel, have you read The Whole Brain Child?
I haven't read it, but I know Dan Siegel.
It's a great read.
Okay.
So The Whole Brain Child with Dan Siegel, he talks about brain states. There is a person, her name is Robin Gobble. Okay. She wrote a book called The Big Baffling Behaviors. And she talks a lot about the brain as well. And so I always like to shout those people out because they like go check out their stuff. Okay. But anyways, you've got the wise owl brain. Okay. This is the smarty McSmart part of your brain. It's the part that helps you make decisions, helps you think through logically, helps you think through cause and effect. Your wise owl brain is what's working when like you go to your room and you're looking at the room and you're like, oh, I need to clean my room. I'm going to do this first. I'm going to do this second. That's your wise owl brain. So when I'm, talking about this with kiddos, I'm out like I have like a puppet and I also have like a cute little wise owl stuffed animal. And this is an aside, but one time I was working with a kid and I was telling him about his wise owl and he was like, oh yeah, I don't have one of those. I said, you do indeed have a prefrontal cortex. It might not feel like it sometimes, but you do.
Honestly, that was pretty wise of him to was intuitive.
It was, it really, really was. So the wise owl brain state, this is when our kids are a delight to parent. We call this the 8 C's of the self, but they're calm, they're confident, they're clear, they're compassionate.
We call them the firstborn. Yes,
that too. Yes. That too. It does seem that many times our firstborns are just in their wise owl brain all the time. So they're able to make eye contact. You feel connected to them. That's the wise owl brain. Okay. Then you've got the watchdog brain. Okay. The watchdog brain is when, and I promise you, we're not going to get into the weeds of this, but I am going to give a couple of.
I love it.
Okay, great.
So in.
Oh, I'm so glad. Okay. So the watchdog is when the amygdala is in the lower center part of your brain. It's constantly scanning for danger. Okay. The kicker though, and we'll come back to this, is that it's real or perceived danger. Okay.
Is that your
constantly
fight or flight? Okay.
There you go. So this amygdala, actually the amygdala, every second, the amygdala scans the environment 4 times.
Wow.
So if you think like 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, it's unbelievable that the Lord has created our brains like this. Your amygdala is the reason that you are still alive. Okay. It is serving its purpose of keeping us alive, but the amygdala's job is just survival, right?
Yep.
So it's constantly looking for that real or perceived danger. The amygdala is the reason, like, if a door slammed right now, we would both like probably jump. That's the amygdala working in our favor. So we call that the watchdog. Okay. When the amygdala barks and says, danger, 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 it sends the brain into one of 2 states. Fight, flight is called watchdog brain, or freeze, and we call that possum brain. You're from the Midwest. What does a possum do?
It plays dead.
It plays dead, exactly. So that's the freeze. Okay. So you've got your wise owl brain, the watchdog brain, and the possum brain. At any given time, your brain is in one of those states. Your kid's brain is in one of those states. Okay. So first off, just teaching your kids the 3 brain states is huge.
That is huge.
It's huge because then, you know, I'll tell a story. At the Dream Center, I was walking a student from Bowerman. Like, we walk the kids from Bowerman to the Dream Center every day after school. And I was walking with a kiddo who typically had some big behaviors at school. So I was like, hey, how's your school? How was your day today? And she said, my watchdog barked so much today. And I said, oh, really? Tell me what happened. And she was in the focus room like 7 times that day. But just your response of that's amazing. It is amazing because if she doesn't know that science, she comes to me and her shoulders are down, her head is down. She's not looking me in the eye because she feels shame. And she's like, I was a bad kid today. I was in the focus room all day long and I have no idea why. Yeah. The adults around me keep saying, why aren't you making better choices? Make better choices. And I don't know why I'm not making good choices. Wow. But instead she was able to say, my watchdog barked a lot today. Yeah. Right? Yes. It's like a totally different posture. Yes. So let's think about it with our kids, right? Usually every brain kind of has its own flavor of stress, right? So when it goes to stress, kids will either typically go into watchdog brain or possum brain. Well, how I respond to that as a parent is going to be different because a watchdog brain needs something different than a possum brain needs, you know? So when I'm working with families, we talk about we want to build the wise owl brain. And there are things that you can do to build that wise owl brain. Really fun things like playing memory, playing like logic, like games of logic, right? And your kids don't even know what they're doing, but they're building that wise owl, that executive functioning system in their brain. They're building that. So we really focus in on building the wise owl brain. With the watchdog brain, if our kid goes into fight, flight, let's first talk about what that might look like. Okay. Fight, flight might look like I have a kid who slugs his brother, slams a door, yells at me, runs away. That's flight, right? So that's kind of like a revved up energy. Yeah. Watchdog energy, right? Exactly. So as I'm talking, are you thinking about I'm not going to ask you who does what, but like, can you identify? Yes. Okay, cool. So you're like, okay, that kiddo goes to watchdog brain. Awesome. Possum brain, that might look like they pout. Maybe they whine. They might physically like get under a table and like they won't make eye contact. Yeah. That is going to be that possum brain. Yeah. Okay. So then hopefully as I'm talking, there are mamas out there, dads out there listening that can say, oh yeah, that kid goes into possum, right? Now here's the cool part. Same thing is happening in our brain as parents. Yes. So
this isn't something that you outgrow. No, it's how we're created.
It's literally how we're created. Yes, exactly.
And it's not, I love that you're saying too, none of these are bad or wrong.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. So let's go back to that, the very, very specific, significant detail. The amygdala is looking for real or perceived danger. Here's what that might look like. Real danger is like a dog running at me, right? That's real danger. Right. I want my amygdala to bark and say, danger, danger, fight, flight. Yeah, exactly. Perceived danger might be, maybe I watched a show where a person got bit by a dog. And so now anytime I see a dog, even across the street, my amygdala barks.
I feel afraid.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. So that's a perceived danger. Real danger might be like my big person screaming in my face. Okay, that's real danger. Perceived danger might be when my mom raises her voice to tell me, hey, get your math done. But for whatever reason, if my amygdala senses that is dangerous, it's going to bark, right? So the amygdala isn't necessarily like a logical feature, right?
Yes.
It is literally just there to scan the environment and see what's dangerous, what's not dangerous.
So good.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So it's using all of the data in the environment. It's taking it all in, and then it's deciding very quickly.
It kind of makes me think of our smoke alarm. We have like a hypersensitive smoke alarm in the kitchen.
right.
Oh my goodness. I'm like, the house can be burning down, or we blew out a birthday candle, and
exactly
it's going to
right.
have the same response.
Exactly. That's right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. It's such a great analogy. So that's that amygdala working for us, right? So sometimes when I'm working with kids, they'll be like, okay, well, I just want to quiet my amygdala. Like, I just want to shut it up. You don't, right? Because your amygdala, again, is serving you, right? So what we need to do is figure out, what does my amygdala need? Like, am I in watchdog brain? If I'm in watchdog brain, I need to calm. I need to get have some calming energy around me. If I'm in possum brain, I need like revved up energy, right? And there are different tools. There's so many tools. Let me give you a couple of examples, just so you can kind of have an idea. So if I have a kid who goes to watchdog brain, I'm thinking, okay, I need to help that kiddo calm. For some kids, like certain music, playing like, hey Siri, play this soundtrack or whatever. Like, I know that that's a soundtrack that my kid enjoys listening to. We're thinking of the senses here. Like, we're just trying to calm. Some kids love a weighted blanket. Some kids like pressure on their, on like if you rub their back or put your hand on their shoulder. Just thinking about, it's really detective work of figuring out what is calming to my kids.
Mine usually feels like he needs to get the energy out of his body. So it'll usually be something physical, like running laps.
Absolutely. Yes, for sure.
That would fall into that. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. If you think about that fight energy, I gotta get going. I gotta move.
Okay.
We get into this in the boundaries route, but this is another great example. Like, if I have a kid who slugs his brother when his amygdala barks, well, that is that energy, that watchdog energy. Okay, it is not okay for you to hit your brother. Right. However, you have energy that you got to get out. So you can hit this pillow.
Yes.
Or you can go outside and throw the tennis ball at the garage. So giving them, believe it or not, our kids are using the tools that they know to use.
Yeah.
Like, if they punch a hole in the wall, you're like, that was such a bad choice. But that's a tool that kid is using. Right. So we got to give him another tool.
Yeah.
So if I say to my child, I will no longer let you do this behavior, it is my responsibility as the parent to give them another option.
They have to have a positive option to replace it.
They do.
Just telling them, this is wrong, this is bad, you can't do this, but then not giving them a positive option.
Totally. Yes. And the same is true for the words that we're using.
It's just setting them up to fail.
That's
really
what I
feel like. It's just
it really
setting them
is.
up to fail.
Yeah, we've got to scaffold that. We have to give them, so many times, let's think about words. We're kind of getting on a tangent here, but this is what happens.
I love tangents.
When we're thinking about words and we say, use your words. Well, our kids would if they knew what words to use.
Abstract.
Yes. You're like, okay, which one? Which word should I pull from here? Yeah. So anytime as a mama that I find myself saying, use your words, I've got to say, here's some words that you could try.
Model it for them.
Yes.
Okay.
Like, give them a script, give them a verbatim script of hey, try this, right? So if my kids aren't sharing and one takes the toy away and I say, use your words. Well, what words do I want her to say? I'd like her to say, hey, can I have a turn with that toy?
That's great.
So then say that. Say, hey, instead say this, and then have them say it.
That's great.
You know what I'm,
yes.
So it's really, like you said, it's modeling what we want them to do. So if I take a tool away, I've got to provide them with a different tool.
That's great. This is probably a great time for me to say, if you didn't hear it in the last episode, that Jami offers some great workshops and coaching sessions. So if this is resonating with you and you feel like this would be beneficial to your family, make sure that you check out her links in the show notes and you could check out some of her workshops and some of her resources. I feel like I am learning so much from you today, and I just want this conversation to keep going and going, but I know that it can't.
It's so fun to talk about this stuff. It's
oh,
so
I
fun.
know. It's so enlightening. And already so many things that I'm like, I want to implement this. I can't wait to try this out. So, before we wrap up, I was hoping that you could hit one of the parent roots really quick. So maybe could we talk about balance?
Yes. I love that. Okay. So I love talking about balance because it is actually foundational to all of the other roots. So here's the deal. I think a lot of us have probably heard the word co-regulation. I'm going to kind of break it up for us though. Co-regulation is actually our kids borrowing our nervous system and brain, which sounds crazy, but it's actually scientifically proven that that's what's happening.
Wow.
So there's this amazing research institute called the Heart Math Institute. And they've done multiple studies on this, but essentially when a kiddo is within 10 feet of a safe adult. So we're going to assume that everyone listening to this podcast is a safe adult for their child. When that child is within 10 feet of that adult, that adult is like a walking Bluetooth signal. Okay. The kid's nervous system calibrates to that parent's nervous system. Their heart rate matches the parent's heart rate. Wow. Their breath rate matches the breath rate. Their body temperature will even align with the parent's body temperature.
Incredible.
Isn't it amazing?
Yes.
It's amazing that we are literally wired to connect. Okay. Good news, bad news. Right. Good news is that, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. Like I have a lot of control here as the parent, right? I like to say like we're the thermostat. We don't want to be the thermometer. We want to be the thermostat, right? Like we set the tone. That's the good news. Bad news is that means that I have to be regulated in those moments. Yeah. Because if I'm not regulated, let's say we're in Target and my kid starts melting down in the toy aisle and they're literally rolling around, kicking, saying, I want the toy. And I'm the mom and I like go over there and I'm trying to stay calm. Like, hey, it's totally fine. No big deal. We got to get out of here. I'm not getting you the toy, but I'm like trying to like fake it. I can't fake regulation, unfortunately. Okay. Like my heart rate is increased. His heart rate.
Because you're still sending out the signals, even if your face isn't sending it out.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Darn.
I know. So what's that mean? That means in that moment, before I move to coaching my kid, helping my kid with their watchdog brain or their possum brain, I have to make sure I am in wise owl brain. If I don't, my kid has no chance of getting regulated because their little nervous system is like, doing all the work to try to calibrate to my nervous system and my brain. So what do we do? Okay. So this is where we really figure out what are the tools that my brain and my body need. First thing, figure out what your triggers are. What are the behaviors? We all have them as parents. What are the specific behaviors that you could be having a great day and all of a sudden your kid does this and you automatically, your amygdala starts to bark for whatever reason. For me, it's a disrespectful tone of voice because that was not allowed in my house growing up. Like if I talked back, it was automatically disrespect. Yeah. So my amygdala has been wired that when a child talks back to me, then it's disrespectful. And I go into watchdog brain. What does that look like as a mom? That looks like I might yell and say, you will not talk to me that way, whatever it is, right? So I've got to figure out what are my triggers, right? As a parent. Then once I name them, I'm just aware of them. Okay, that's a trigger. That's a trigger. Like just becoming aware will allow me to have more autonomy in that, more ownership, not autonomy, more ownership of it. So I've got my list of triggers, and then I've got to figure out what are my go-to tools? What helps me in that moment? That might mean like the best thing that I can do. Let's say like my kid is, has talked back to me at the house. If I am not regulated, the best thing I can do is get out of that 10-foot radius. Okay. Like maybe I have to go outside and put my bare feet on the grass. That is like one of my go-to tools. Yes. So maybe I do that, right? If it's safe for my kid, right? Like if my kid's totally fine, I go outside, I put my, feet in the grass for 60 seconds. I take a deep breath. Okay. Now I can get back in there, right? And then I can go in and I can coach and I can do what I need to do. But so many times there's that there's that Viktor Frankl quote that's like, in between,
Yes.
the stimulus, what is it? The behavior and the stimulus, there's a response. No, there's a pause. And well, I'm like butchering that.
We'll put the real quote
put the real quote in there because it literally is in between the stimulus and response, there's a pause, right? And in that pause, that's where the power lies. That's the gist of the quote. We have got to be able to have that pause and figure out, what do I do in that moment?
Yeah.
Because otherwise, my kid, there's nothing, well, actually they're going to co-regulate to me,
Right.
but it's nothing good is going to happen.
And it
right?
literally can be that quick. I mean, you said 60 seconds, feet in the grass, but it could also be 60 seconds, lose my ever loving mind.
Absolutely.
One way or the other.
Absolutely. That's it. Absolutely right. So for those of you that are like on video seeing this, I'm going to show you. So it's like, we talk about how there's like a window of tolerance, right? So if this is my window of tolerance, things happen in life, but if they happen in my window's like pretty healthy, a lot of things can happen and I'm okay. I can still stay regulated. I won't go into fight, flight, or freeze. However, a lot of times what happens is we get really tired,
Right.
and we're hungry and we're dehydrated. Most of us are, and things are hard. Life is hard. Maybe I'm in a season of hard. Well, what happens to my window? It gets small, small, small. So then my kids do the littlest thing and I go into fight, flight, or freeze, right? It's a very natural thing. I mean, it's our bodies are created to do that. So then my question is, where, like if I were to do that with my hands, where is my window right now? And also, where's my window with my co-parent? Where's my window with my kids? Where's my window at work? Where's my window with homeschooling, right? Like really, become aware of where your window is and then ask yourself, okay, what is one thing I can do today that will help widen that window just a smidge? Just a smidge is all we're looking for. When I can open it just a smidge, that pause in between the stimulus and the response, that pause will become bigger.
And I think you've mentioned this so many times, and just the awareness itself helps widen that window.
For sure. Because, and also verbalizing that to your kids. Like my kids know I love them dearly until they chomp their food. And chomping is such a huge trigger.
So much in common.
It's ridiculous. It's such a big trigger for me. And so I will just say at the table, listen, you guys know chomping is a trigger. My amygdala is growling so loudly right now. Please stop chomping. So it brings lightness to it, but also allow your kids to be in on that of like, hey, moms have triggers too.
Absolutely.
Like clearly they know our triggers probably better than we do. I've never thought of this, but if I were to sit down in front of my kids and be like, what are my triggers? They would probably be able to list them all. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Yep. All of that is correct.
They are observing. They are so observant. Yes. Oh, wow. I have learned so much. I could literally talk to you for hours.
Same.
This was so good. But
So
if
fun.
you're feeling like you could talk to Jami for hours and you want to be BFFs with her, just go to one of her coaching sessions. Go with me because I'm going to a workshop. I'm doing it. I have to. This was so beneficial. And I want to get to know you a little bit better on a personal level. So could we maybe hit like 3 lightning round questions?
Do it.
Okay, let's do it. My first one is, because I think we're pretty close in age. So what is one millennial thing that you just cannot let go of?
Unabashedly, unashamedly, NSYNC Christmas album is like my go. Yes. Their Christmas album is still so good. And I don't even, honestly, you can say whatever you want to say about NSYNC. And I love NSYNC. I love that Christmas album so much.
I feel like we just got new subscribers just from that.
Probably so.
Mine is like my emotional support t-shirt or tank top under like a sweatshirt. People that wear just a sweatshirt.
What's wrong with you?
It's bizarre.
What is wrong with that person?
I don't understand.
That's funny.
I have to
funny.
have something under my sweatshirt.
That's funny that you said that, because I guess I didn't even realize that was a millennial thing.
I feel like
I didn't realize
know.
that.
But like my daughter, she's almost 19. She just wears a sweatshirt. I'm like,
what's wrong with you, child?
Ew. Okay. When you were growing up, were you a Santa family?
Oh my gosh. Okay, listen. I have some major feelings about this. We were, but here's the deal. I was way too old.
Okay.
I was way too old when I found out. And I was at apparently a critical spiritual point in my life too, because I really mixed Santa and Jesus up. I really did. So I was honestly traumatized by it because I asked frequently, and my mom was a single mama. Yeah. She told me repeatedly, yes, he's real. Yes, he's real. And so then I would go to school and I'd my mom would never lie to me. Yes. So yeah, we did as kids, but we do not now. Okay.
We never did because of that, honestly, because I couldn't really wrap my mind around, doing it. But I know so many people do it and they feel like it's magical, and I totally get it. But it just, the ROI was not there for us. What about you guys?
My story is similar. We were a huge Santa family growing up. To this day, probably, I don't think my mom would tell me that he is not real. She's still holding on to it. Yes. Because her mom was huge into Santa. It was just a generational thing.
Sure.
She would hire somebody to walk through the yard. On Christmas
she
Eve,
was in it.
And so we started it with our kids, but I think I was 13 before I found out. So similarly,
yes.
And I would there was this boy at church and I was like, he is real. So anyways.
Yes.
But we started it with our kids, and it just started the past couple years. It really just started. It felt icky.
Yeah, I get that.
It just felt icky. And so they would ask us point blank, is he real?
Yes.
And I was like, well, what do you think? And so my husband actually blew it with the Tooth Fairy because he wrote it in his handwriting. And so that's how it all came out. And then it was just this big snowball.
Yes.
And so last year was the point where we were he's pretend. And then we told his actual real story and what a neat man he was, and the history of St. Nicholas. And so it actually was kind of a neat moment, but we do not, we're not a Santa family.
I get that.
Anymore.
I do have families that ask though, how do you make sure that your kids don't ruin it for other kids? Because that is a fear, right? You don't want to be that
at our house with another child.
Oh
who
my
came over.
gosh, for a play date?
Yes.
That's the worst.
Yeah, he came over for dinner and just laid it all out. And
sure.
I was what are you doing? Yes.
So we have always from the get-go said, listen, this is a game that some families play, and the kiddos think it's real.
Yes.
It's a real thing. Yes. And so we don't want to ruin the game for other people, but this is just a game that our family has chosen not to play. Yeah. We want to really lean into, other traditions for Christmas. So that is how I word it. Mm-hmm. To my knowledge, our kids haven't given it away to anybody, but I might get calls no, your kid ruined it for my kid. I'm so sorry if they did.
Christmas.
I know. I'm so sorry if we did. So sorry.
Oh, that's so funny. Okay, let's do one more.
Okay.
Is there a popular food or a snack that everyone else seems to love, but you just really don't care for?
Okay, yeah. Yes, steak.
Oh,
I can't.
Really?
Okay, here is the deal. I probably should not say this online, but here is the deal. Steak gets bigger as you chew it. So I always... It just gets bigger. True. You might want to edit that out, but it expands. It expands in your mouth, and I don't like it.
Yeah,
I don't like it. So if I'm
yeah.
So and I am crazy about no pink at all, and everyone says steak has to be pink, and I just mentally I cannot do it.
It's so tender.
Yeah,
that way, and it does not grow.
Correct.
When it's a little more tender.
Right. But when it is burnt, which is how I order any piece of meat when I go to if I get a burger, I'm burn it. I want it a crispy. So it's the way that I order it because I have to have it burnt. And then you're I'm still chewing 20 minutes later and this is my first bite. I can't get it to go.
That could be the problem.
So it's steak.
That's so funny. Mine is Andy's. I don't like it.
Okay.
And in this area, people are like, what?
Yeah, that's pretty
I don't like
bold of you to say locally.
I don't like it. It's so sweet. And I
do you have an ice cream that is your go-to?
I don't love ice cream.
I would
I'm okay with it. If everybody's we're going for ice cream,
sure.
I'll go, but give me a plate of Doritos.
Okay.
Or
I
don't know, something salty, but
okay. Well,
it's fine.
I will never give you a gift card to Andy's.
Thanks, girl.
You're welcome.
Give me a bag of spicy Doritos.
You got it. You got it.
Oh, this was so much fun. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to have you back again soon. I hope that this was beneficial for you. I know that it was. Check out Jami's resources. They will be an encouragement to you. And until next time, happy learning.